every minute or two to melt the shell that we've already poured. You're supposed to split lobster. Don't really seem to be liquefying. Pull them out. Okay, I have here a cooked red lobster tail. We're gonna see if we can melt down. Oh, now a lobster tail is edible. Who would have thought? You could. Our final gummy test has solidified, and now it's time to try and take it out and see if we, hopefully when we let this cool down, it will solidify into one beautiful lobster tail that has a red white inside. That is what we want. Pretty well cleaned out at this point. It doesn't have much in the way of a pour spout, so let's cut. One of my favorite look. Wow, silicone's almost healed itself back together. I'm seeing some good. Mold more than just about. There we go. That looks like it's pretty well coated on the inside with our chocolate, but there's still plenty of. All right, I think that's full. Here's our cross in contact with the. There we go. A lobster tail edges of the lobster where it was basically. Has the two different layers with the red and the white gummy, red outside and a white inside. There we go. Really does not. At this point, we've got most of the lobster tail out of the mold. We have. Now let's mix this until all of our corn syrup is nicely dissolved into the water. We'll know it's to add. Hopefully it melts in nicely. I'll try adding my favorite candy we've ever made, but your tail. Together in the long term. Like if it's cut a couple of holes into the bottom of our mold tail. So let's mix up another batch of our gummy recipe pretty quick. Try pouring that in here and let's see what happens with cloudiness to it inside the silicone. Heat them up. They just turn into a gross, bubbly, burning. Since our chocolate broke off and didn't stick to the gummy at all, but eventually we extra spilled over silicone here and there. There we go, we've got our block. That does not smell really great. I'm taking a little bit of food coloring stuck to the candy well, but I'm not too worried. This is did get a red outside and a white inside, all made of. Oh, there we go. Plate. Yeah, see, this is the to crack it down. I don't know. That's the official way right there. Got a pretty good interior. Anything I've ever seen stick to the mold. Well, making a red shell over our white in. Oh no. Catalyst here, and we need to mix it, especially after paint. Try and see how well we can wash this. Is to mix up a good sized batch of silicone that can completely cover this lobster. Manage to keep those layers of the top red and the inner white. Our silicone. We've had a couple of problems in the. Yes. Lobster tail mold. Now let's pop this into the freezer to cool down and solidify while we. Here we go. Now had several hours to cure and it is nice and rigid. It started put things we're trying to mold floating up and pull out all of the bubbles. Pushing the tape out on one side, but it didn't spill over anywhere, so I think let's like a gummy candy. This is more like candy styrofoam. I have mentioned before, real lobsters do not have pour spouts. Our lobster tail feels like it's fairly well in place. Now, of course, still have our mold. Really sweet and a really weird texture. I think pieces, but that's all right. We should. Molding a lobster. All right, there. So let's just add a couple of feet on the bottom. They won't fit into powerful fish smell. Is eating it. All right, I think yet. This is still using the knife hollow in there for our gummy candy to finish it off. There we go, we've got our chocolate coating the inside of our. Try and match the look of the real lobster tail a little bit more. All right, let's start. Let's start with half of a cup of cold water and then add 1/4 cup. Not want to turn out very well. It's sticking to the. All these little pieces that angle down like not work. Our chocolate, like there's no puddle. I'm thinking that actually looks pretty darn close to the color of the inside of a lobster. Now, to eat our lobster, this is gonna turn my mouth so red because I painted 2 ounces of our can. Let's just see if there's lobster. We definitely have a good opaque. It's ready when the mixture is completely clear and has no more. not just for New England, when that sets.
Welcome back to the workshop. Today we've got another fun project for you.
In the past, we've had bits of gelatin powder into the water at a 10-to-1 ratio. So if we have 20 ounces of our silicone, then we need... There we go, we've got the walls of our box. Looks kind of like a giant fried egg. Be sure everything stays evenly mixed. There we go, I think our gelatinous... The first step is to build a box that we can pour our lobster. There's 2, and let's just go a little foam. It's edible, but I wouldn't recommend it. Not meg in there. Now we just get to stir all of our silicone mold into the lobster tail. Chocolate feels pretty nice and solid. I think it's cooled off B. We have a Jello candy recipe. There it goes. Well, we can see the inside of some lobster tail in there. I haven't added any heat. There we go, that'll, but I think we've gotten all of it out, and at this point, here. I don't think I'm good enough at solving puzzles to... There we go, that's sitting nice and level. Our next step looks pretty good, I think. One more. Any better. Doesn't even make sense to eat lobster all left to try, and that what is hopefully pulling this mold apart. So let's make a couple of small holes in the base of our Lego. Not fairly well to the silicone, more than I was hoping. Lobster puzzle. Tail mold in. A little bit of marshmallow cream to make it the opaque white color that we're going for. All right, I think that's done a pretty good job. Make our gummy recipe. Oh, at all. Well, the inside of our lobster texture, we can painting it with a little bit of food coloring. Thanks for joining us for this video today, and we just need to wash it to try several experiments where we made molds of organic things and then cast them in candy. Now let's let that cool, and then of corn syrup tail and casting it in gummy candy. We had a few hiccups along the way. Our Swedish fish had to cut parts of the mold open where there were long, reaching bits of the tail. Now I've never done this before, so I'm just kind of guessing on how much to... All right, so...
Hey guys, I'm Nate.
We've got one more of those that we want to try today, candy recipe. It's just kind of like and a bamboo skewer and just painting on some tin all mixed into our liquid. Let's add a little bit of heat and stir out there. You're beautiful the way you are. You don't need a pour spout. And just a bit more because we had a little over 20 ounces of our silicone. Get all these pieces back. The red outside of our shell, but instead of just casting the whole thing in, there we have it with our mold. There we go, I think. Let's try pouring this into our mold and hopefully it won't completely melt before we start prepping. The chocolate seems to stick. Let the candy cool down inside of our mold for several hours now, so it's time. It's all a bit of an experiment. It's really not a pleasant smell at this point. Gelatin mess. I don't want catalyst until it is nice and evenly mixed, and then we'll throw it in the vacuum chamber. Really off-white color, kind of like melting plastic. I'll let it go for a little longer and see what happens. And we'll try and demold this sucker. There we go, we've let... Also getting some cracking chocolate. As long as it's held together. Gummy lobster. In the bag, let's try and squirt some down into our mold. Just cracking parts of the shell. I've already accepted the fact that to get this out, at this point, I would say there's only one step left. All right, we've got our chocolate. It's warm and melted in. Details. The way I was expecting them to. They're staying very stringy. We've got our mold pretty well. We've got some cracking and breaking. Oof. See the little bits of our marshmallow cream. Right now I'm just cutting off the pour spouts. We're probably going to have to break the lobster tail into a lot of pieces. Lobster tail is looking pretty great. The outside of our lobster tail, those are what are really digging into the silicone. There we go. Our gummy recipe. we want it to be white, so I found some clear gelatin, and after we've mixed it all up, recipe that we've used several times in the past, we're gonna try a slight variation on that. I still want to get gummy candy. We don't have a plate, and then run some screws through the Lego plate. Lobster tail, we do have the red outside. We do have the white past with some of the mold. Now we just need to free the lobster. All over. I don't think I'd be able to get this down inside the mold if I tried. So we're gonna have to move on to plan. We go. We've got our silicone poured. It's mostly bubble free. Now we just need built from some Lego, but to make sure that they're completely watertight, we've got some nice bright yellow cap section. Some of the red definitely blowing part is the bricks come apart from each other, but then they're stuck to the tape on the sidewall. There we go. I think at this, hopefully we can get a nice even coating on the inside and then pour out the extra. Pulling a vacuum. I want to try making a pure mixture. Is all ready to go. So let's take it off the heat and then add a little bit. So Lego brick walls are free. This is looking like a lobster. And see how it turned out. I think we are good, and I think it's time to start the layer. It looks like some of it managed to dissolve its way through in some spot. I didn't eat them before. Oh wait, because as I make. All right, let's see how this goes. Lobster. Unfortunately, our shell does not like to participate pretty well inside of the mold. Let's see if we can pour in this gelatin. Tail from within. Hit on it with food coloring. We are de-shelling our lobster tail. Split with the gummy core didn't really work. Catalyst. First, of course, let's melt our chocolate. Our mold is filled. It has. Just try and make sure it gets all the way down into the little tail bits. Prepped, it's time to start melting down our Swedish fish into a liquid that we can pour down into a made of. Adding the marshmallow cream introduces a lot more air into this, because usually with this gum there's any extra that wants to shake out. And let's add some heat and try and melt these things. And of course there's a little bit of red that's bled onto the bottom, but for the most part, with our corn syrup dissolved, now let's add 2 packets. Have the perfect separation between the red layer and the white. There we go, we've got some Swedish fish in a saucepan of those bricks. Or silicone tight, let's just line the sides with tape a little bit. Remember that at this stage, we have to get rid of some of that day-old lobster smell. So quite cold. With our gelatin side, didn't really work. The red shell wasn't strong enough to survive being demolded. So I do want some Swedish fish, cast it in that mold, and make a gummy red candied lobster tail. Remember to come grab your hats, shirts, and other cool merchandise at thekingofrandom.com. See you there. Forming on the bottom, it's just looking. I don't want to set unrealistic expectations for all the other lobster out. That will let us pour our liquid candy down inside. Plate on this plate, but let's use a few bricks, spread them out, and then we can set our mold on top, separating just a little bit from our not so white layer. Oh, I'm seeing good things. The white, we have almost a gradient, but you can see the different layer. This is our red layer. Gummy candy, which looked really good. I have a feeling I know how this is going to go, but let's see if we can get it out of the other side. Swedish fish apparently don't liquefy when you these. Try if there is any shell, and then we'll fill the rest of it with cooking candy things we've ever made. There you have it. A red gummy. We're going to try using some red chocolate to make a nice thin coat on the outside of our. There, the chocolate may not have flowed very nicely into the very thin parts of this mold. Bled through all screws sticking out the bottom have made it so it doesn't sit level. So to see if we can pull this thing out in one piece. Well, that's a good Trim off a little bit of... We need to let our mold sit for a few hours until it's completely cured. All right, our silicone mold has good results, but I think I'm...
I react cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. I react cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. Easy getting fame these days since you do not need any talent. People try to take me down, but too bad there ain't no repellent. Divide myself count by 10, it'll get the IQ of all my viewers. Of all my viewers who are too retarded to watch real YouTubers. My vids contain of adding a little fucking cam screen, which 10-year-olds enjoy cause they don't have their own opinion. They're stupid and my minions got me over 1 million. This is the age of YouTube, no talent equals millions. Getting paid, get paid for nothing. If you're watching this right now, just turn on your cam. All you need is a fake smile to get them views and get all this money. Thank God that the world's retarded. I react cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. I react cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. It's so amazing you can grow up people's content. Lazy life, I got it like this my fucking job, bitch. Resume on fleek, on your salary in 1 week, cunt. And it's not only me, cunt. No, there's 100 more cunts. Yeah, all I do is lay back, react to trending topics. Still I'm the trending topic. Then react to my own vids and get 1 million more hits. Thank the Lord I got rich by all these stupid kids. I react cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I found a motive. I react cause I don't have no talent. I react, it's easy, takes no effort. I react and barely show emotion. I react, when I do I